Russ and I met in 1977, 78. And we met through a guitar player named Robin Ford. I met Robin at a Flora Purim gig. I was playing with her in 1975, 76, and I met him in 76 here in Los Angeles at a place called the Roxy. And he said, I want to get together and jam. And he says, I got this piano player coming down from San Jose. So he calls me up, and the piano player was Russell. So that's how we met.
I think there's a photo up on our website of, like photos from eras gone by. It shows Jimmy in bell-bottoms and boots with a Fu Manchu and weighing about 50 pounds less than he weighs now. Immediately, we all had a really nice personal and musical connection.
We had no name. It was the Robin Ford backup band, and then we ended up in the studio with this deal. So you gotta have a name. So we probably put down hundreds of names on pieces of paper, and I think Tommy LaPuma, who was producing the first couple of records, he's the one that gravitated towards Yellow Jackets. That was a name that appeared on a scrap of paper with some other names, and that came out, and it's just a name. It's kind of like Pink Floyd or Led Zeppelin, or it's just a name, and people like it. It's a sort of a catchy name. And we're all jocks at heart anyway. We love sports, and there's probably about 9,000 high schools with the Yellow Jackets as their mascot. So it just kind of gave us an identity, and it is a team. On a certain level, we feel like a unit. I grew up in a real musical household, mostly music listeners, but my family loved music, so in my house there was everything from Stravinsky to Tito Puente, just constantly revolving from room to room. My brother would have like some Debussy coming out of there, or Coltrane, and then my father was listening to Tito Puente or even Montefani. I'm left-handed, so there was two guys that I looked up to that actually gave me the juice to continue, and that was Paul McCartney, who was a lefty bass player. And I thought, hey, that guy's left-handed, so am I. So seeing the Beatles on Ed Sullivan's show was inspiring, and then I saw Hendrix like 5 times, and that was incredible. I have those guys to thank for playing electric bass left-handed.
The first musician would have been Les McCann. There was a recording called Swiss Movement, which was live at the Montreux Jazz Festival, and I just loved it, that combination of gospel music and kind of grooving hard, the excitement of improvisation. So that was my first real inspiration, and then shortly thereafter, Miles Davis Quintet, hearing Herbie Hancock, and Coltrane Quartet with McCoy Tyner, and Charles Lloyd Quartet, Keith Jarrett. From there, once you start down the road, I started listening to all kinds of music. Jimmy and I do a lot of co-writing because we live in town together. The other two musicians that are in Yellow Jackets now, Bob Mintzer and Marcus Baylor, live on the East Coast, so it's harder for us to write together, although we actually have. Like in the case of Times Squared, we had a week-long engagement in London at Ronnie Scott's. So we were rehearsing during the daytime, and then we were trying some of these tunes out on the bandstand. It was really helpful. What had been going on in the world and in different people's lives over this last year and a half, it's been a very tumultuous time. So we wanted the music to somehow have some acknowledgement of that, without being heavy-handed or sappy or whatever, but just to recognize the world events, hence, Times Squared, some kind of reference to New York City and all of that. And then on a personal note, and I won't go into great depth, but Jimmy and his family just went through a real serious period of time where they were all in the hospital for like 2 months. And so I think Jimmy's wheels were turning, and he came up with some really interesting music from that experience. And two of those pieces, or like we call them seeds, you know, we watered them a little bit, and they turned into two of the songs that are on Times Square.
We use those kinds of incidences and events to, you know, inspire the music. You know, I mean, that's what art is about anyway. Art is about what's going on around you and the world, and it could be on a personal level or a worldwide level, you know, that affects us all.
I think through it all, the constant for us has been, you know, love of music, the fact we really enjoy playing with one another. We recognize that we're pretty lucky to have a situation like this where we get to play our own music, and we have loyal fans and have traveled around the world many times, you know, doing what we love to do.